Entrepreneurship does not exist. And I feel sometimes very sad to listen to young people saying, I enter entrepreneurship, I boost my career, and he's just trying to be alive. Because kids are entrepreneurs. When a human being comes on earth, he is an entrepreneur. And I've been often invited in the past to talk about how to preserve the entrepreneurial mindset, because this is one of my specialties. And I think first, try not to destroy it. And it's difficult if we take into consideration all the tools, all the conceptual tools, all the technological tools that we have today in our hands, not to destroy the entrepreneur within our kids. But no children ask the permission to walk or to speak. So they don't have this legitimacy issue that we all have, even to speak here. They just do it. So through my teaching, I always like to remind the people that basically we could be looking at entrepreneurship in a different perspective. And I present the things like that. And that will be my starting point to give you some insight to go further. But mainly we can consider that what is really important in business and in entrepreneurship is to remember that in fact we have a human being that is between the materiality of the world, the materials, and his thoughts, his ideas, as we say in our discipline. And the challenge is to make an harmony with that. And that's very difficult, as you know. It's the only place I manage to be harmonious is under my shower. Because the water is the materiality that makes me relax, and because the idea can fuse in all kinds of directions. But we have to deal with the materiality, the heaviness of the world, and that's difficult. Another thing, I think if we had an analyst here, we noticed that human and has been the most pronounced word during the hours from this morning. And growth was the other one. But in fact, if we look at business, and if we look at this representation of business, I found something very interesting, is whatever we develop, application, website, house of cards, the very important things to me is this very particular relationship between what a human is and what he's creating. In fact, we are all working on our self-realization because only by the fruit of our work we can find answers to recognize finally ourselves. So of course, if I had to improve an environment, a working environment with thousands of people, I would have that into my mind. I need to help the people to make sense out of the fruits of what they are working on. So it's about self-realization, and I think it's even more about self-individuation, giving the possibility to everyone through his work to become an individual, which is difficult because, I don't know, our time favors identity, probably because it's a good marketing shortcut. Anyway, self-realization is the deep issue. Another thing, to achieve this self-realization, where is the engine? Traditionally, in entrepreneurship, we believe it's about money, or it's about the market, it's about the other. I discovered through time that, in fact, the true engine is not the necessity. You have to finish in 5 minutes, Charles. No, this doesn't work. And I will tell you more why it doesn't work. But what really works is its desire. Everything that we deeply desire, that we wish, make us move. We live at the time of the attention war, permanent war for the attention of everyone. That doesn't leave much space to desire much thing. But the true engine is desire. My third point regarding this individual between ideas and materiality is when we try to do things, we can either, we always meet difficulties at one point, and we can either progress or regress. We have no problem with our children to be regressive at some point, but we do not give much consideration to our own regression. And I think we are collectively very regressive, if you ask me. And this regression needs to be welcome. We spoke of fear this morning in one session. In fact, this is a regression. Regression is just the opposite of progression, and it requires to be welcome, not to be judged, not to be condemned. But one of our main regression is to be hard on ourselves, rather than to be easy on ourselves. I could be very, very long on all kind of regression, eating sugar and all that kind of things, instead of doing what we have to do, the fair movement. But I decided it was better to focus on important elements that induce regression. Archetypes. One of it is a myth that is very frequent in our companies and in our schools and in our culture and in our family, the myth of the success, a mountain that we should climb. And even the super coach that are advocates for the failure, what are they doing? They are selling the success because they are telling, if you fail enough, you will have success. But this is bullshit. Sorry. Because I admit success and failure are sides of this mountain, but never the top. Whatever you will do, playing the violin or the guitar, or painting, or launching a website, you will have failure and success. You will have always both. The true challenge right now is achievement, acting, doing things, trying something. Everything is done to sit you down and look at Netflix. Drinking Coca-Cola, hopefully. But we have a challenge, and I teach also young students. They have a challenge to remain able to act, to invest themselves. A true entrepreneurial quality is the ability to value what we are doing. There is another very important element to me that I could share today, is the maturation process. As an investor or as a coach, I always look at the maturity of the person that is coming to me asking for my advice. And there are 3 stages. We always start to do things for ourselves. I play the guitar since 20 years, I still play for myself. I will not come with the guitar and play for you. But then come a time when we did enough, so we are able to share it. That's the time for incubation, for presentation, for pitch. When you have someone to make a presentation, but he has not done enough for himself to learn, you will most likely make him regressive to ask him to present. And then there is a time to offer to the world. And that's the time of economy. One of our regression is we are here and we want the economy to work. So all our effort, investment to be here, is for the profit to come. We don't really care so much of the profit, plus I always saw that profit is not coming from our efforts here, it's coming from our maturity, our ability to organize something that allows us to offer to the world. I'm confident for the future, but I must say this economy regression is quite interesting, because what we are calling economy, generally speaking, is much more like a diseconomy if we look at it more carefully. We are digging the sands in the Chinese Sea to have tablets and phones. We are putting a farm of server under the Antarctic to cool it. We are not acting, I think, fairly, but for a regressive purpose, because it's difficult to change really things. So if it should be really disruptive, I think it should be focusing on preserving a human context, whatever happened. And I'm done. Thank you very much for your attention and to allow me to share that with you.